Are you sure you want to do this?
So recently I watched two alien-themed movies. One in a pretty full cinema, as there was the Cinema Fest, which means tickets for $5. To be honest, it's nice to see a full cinema nowadays, even though I don't even like hanging out with a lot of people. But fortunately there weren't annoying assholes, so it was fine. Just a bit warm and crowded. But I was sitting in a premium seat, which basically means it's an armchair. Nice. The movie I watched was Alien Romulus, the 7th mainline movie in the Alien franchise, taking place between the first and second movie. It's directed by Fede Alvarez and written with him and his writing partner from movies like the Evil Dead remake and the both Don't Breathe movies. And now they are tackling one of the most interesting and potentially threatening monsters, the xenomorph, the alien. The beginning was already pretty interesting. Well, not the very beginning when they just dig up the Nostromo and with it an alien corpse. But the moment when we meet our lead characters is pretty good. Rain and Andy. They live on a mining planet and want to leave for a better planet when Rain's time seems ripe to leave. Her contract just gets extended though, and she's forced to stay for another couple of years. We also learn that Andy is an android and was damaged at some point, so now he's behaving like someone with a learning difficulty. Desperate, she comes into contact with some old friends, who have learned about a ship that has cryopods and could bring them to another planet, Ivaga. Of course, things don't go as planned when they reach the ship, and it turns out that it is an entire space station. Also, the cryopods have not enough energy for the flight, so they get their energy from another cooling room. What they don't realize is that the cooling room is inhabiting a lot of facehuggers. And that's where the trouble really begins, as soon another alien hatches and chases after the crew. And that's where the movie also slowly shows its cracks, and I do have to talk spoilers to tell you about the big faults in the movie. Fanservice is the big burden of the movie. It's almost overwhelming once they also add the Prometheus connections and the first big reference with Ash/Rook, played by Ian Holmes, who is an animatronic, and the weird CGI effect as he couldn't be there in person due to his death a couple of years ago. And I don't know why they even did that. It would have been so much easier to just use another actor or have only the animatronic. He is a destroyed android after all. I don't even know if I could call it a bad effect per se. It's more like an oddly used effect. Sometimes he looks like they tried to create a broken android and his face seems off. Then it tries to be more human looking, human and lifelike, and we go into Uncanny Valley territory. It's just all over the place. Later we see him mostly on the screen of a monitor, which is distorted, but it's still odd. And he doesn't feel so much like an android on an evil mission, but more like a mustache-twirling supervillain. But there's more. We get the line, "Get away from her, you bitch," and in a context that doesn't make much sense and is pretty cringy, to be honest. There are also Prometheus references, which dragged the movie already down for me, as I just don't care about that movie. It also just feels like a speedrun of franchise references at some point. There are references to Alien, Aliens, a bit of Alien Resurrection, even though it's the worst one, and they just steal the ending of that one basically. At least they made it better than Resurrection, but that's not hard anyways. But they also mix Prometheus into it there yet again. There's also probably some Alien Covenant and maybe some Alien Cubic Meter reference, but I probably missed it. They most likely only left the Versus movie references out of this movie. They also just add about 20 Xenos later on in the movie, which is a shame as the one they showed for the most of the movie is pretty well presented and overall those scenes are rather well directed. Once the other Xenos show up and they show the pulse rifles from Aliens, this time even with aim assist, it immediately is clear that there will be an alien massacre. And it's something I already didn't like in the Aliens movie, and just gotten worse with these new ones. The aliens just turn into cannon fodder and are absolutely no threat, as they basically run into the barrels of the guns, and even if not, there's aim assist to take care of them. What is there left to be scared of now? The movie also is at least a bit too long. But is it breaking the movie? I would say no. It still works, but it's dragged down by these issues, which is simply unnecessary. It started out promising, it has some world building like we haven't seen since Aliens. We also don't see the dumbest scientists ever in this one, but some more regular people that also handle the alien threat better overall. There are some fun ideas, the two leads are good, the directing is solid, and it's overall entertaining. So it's an overall okay movie that just could have been better, but suffers from all the references to movies that came before, and tries to be more action-packed as it progresses, to its own fault, especially towards the end. It is entertaining and worth a watch, I would say. We will most likely never see anything like Alien or Aliens again, but I would say it's one of the better Alien sequels after that. I like it definitely more than Prometheus, and a hell of a lot more than Alien Resurrection. I also wasn't as bored as I was with Alien Cubic Meter, and maybe even more than Alien Covenant, which was fun but just felt like a lesser version of the first movie in the first half, which is still good, but then turns into action schlock in the second half. But would I recommend Alien Romulus? Well, kind of. If you want something that is fun in the cinemas, with some horror, sci-fi and action, it's fine, but you can also just wait for it to come to streaming. It's no must-see, but you can give it a watch, just don't expect too much. I am now interested in playing Alien Isolation and rewatching the other movies, and I don't regret seeing Romulus, even though my pals seem to hate it. I was already glad to get out of the house and sit in an armchair in the cinemas though. And with that said, I will give Alien Romulus a 6 out of 10, but it's closer to a 7 than a 5. Off to the next one.
It's gonna be a long one tonight, boys. Jimmy? Who's out there?
I have reviewed some of the VHS movies on this channel already and liked the second one quite a bit. The second one also had a segment called Alien Slumber Party, or something like that, which was directed by Jason Eisner, the guy who made Hobo with a Shotgun. I was curious to see this movie, a spin-off to an episode of the second movie, by a guy who made a very stylish and really bloody and kind of unique movie. And it has been years since he was doing something. The only thing he made in all those years between Hobo and Kids was producing the pretty awesome Turbo Kid after all, which is also pretty good. The expectations were relatively high and the disappointment even higher when I finally watched it recently. What a bore. Kids vs. Aliens feels more like a poor man's Stranger Things ripoff. There is little action, little gore and little going on overall. It looks like they shot it on film and there is a nice style shining through most of the time, but it still feels and looks so cheap at times. Especially the aliens look more like a costume that you pick up in a supermarket for Halloween. The way the aliens move is also pretty bad. They don't feel like monsters, but just like guys in cheap costumes awkwardly stumbling around, sometimes more reminiscent to Zed in the movie of the same name. It also feels like they take way too much time to introduce the kids and what they are doing, and the little drama before things are actually starting properly. And it's just not that interesting, to be honest. And it might be that it just feels like nothing happens for a long time, as the movie is pretty short, but I was just so disinterested in these kids. The awkward looking kid was also pretty bad. I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but I just didn't like his acting at all, and also his character was kind of annoying. I was actually glad when he was out of the movie, which is a pretty bad sign. I really like gateway horror films like Krampus or movies that are about kids fighting monsters like in the first season of Stranger Things, which, well, is a TV show, but you know what I mean. But this ain't it, Chief. The main kid was okay. I liked his sister, but everyone else I didn't like or wanted to die soon and bloody. Especially the bully characters. And it's not just because they were bullies, but because they were annoying and badly written and just ate up the runtime with bullshit. But I should probably at least explain what the plot of Kids vs. Aliens is. A group of kids is hanging out together. The main characters are a boy and his sister, and they love hanging out, making cool stuff like shooting cheapo horror and sci-fi movies and having wrestling fights. They are just great together and have a good time until she meets a guy and falls in love with him. Unfortunately, he is an absolute dickhead, and he and his friends are bullying the kids. Of course, the dickhead is soon cheating on her at a party, and it is revealed by the kids, for everyone at the party to see, to make the sister realize what is going on. Just in that moment, the aliens, which can be seen in the background a couple of times before, finally attack and kill some of the partygoers and turn some of them into alien monsters. The sister tries to save the kids that have been kidnapped by the aliens, and while she does so, she also finds a toy sword, which is actually working like a real sword, just because, I guess. What follows is some running, some fighting, but overall it's just so lackluster. I was disappointed, even though I did lower my expectations when I saw the user ratings and the scores that this movie has. It's too bad, it could have been cool and a lot of fun, but it's not really. It's not exciting, it's not fun, it's not bloody, it's not funny, it's just so underwhelming. I thought a lot about other alien horror splatter movies while watching it, especially Evil Aliens and Bad Taste, which are way more fun and entertaining, even though they are probably even cheaper than this here. But I also don't know what the matter is with Shudder. They have some really good movies and shows sometimes, but also just really cheap shit other times, like this or even more Scare Package. Creepshow also has some pretty good episodes, but some are so cheap they pull you right out of the story. While Alien Romulus could have been very good but ended up being decent, Kids vs. Aliens could have been decent but disappoints. It's not the worst movie, but it is below average, and could have been much more. Just watch Evil Aliens or Bad Taste instead. Or VHS, or VHS2, or Hobo with a Shotgun. Or Turbo Kid, which is really great. With that said, Kids vs. Aliens gets a 4 out of 10.
Alright, action! There's dinos dead ahead! Let's teach them how to die!
We should have a party. We'll keep it small and your parents won't find out, I promise.
Just one of those stupid pranks. No reason to break up the party.
The aliens were using human skin to fuel their spaceship.
I don't want my body to be alien fuel.
This means war.
Give us a fucking break already! Oh, fuck.
You wanna dance?
Fuck space.